Welcome to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I'm your host, Ema. Wow, I'm your host, Ema. Wow. No, I'm your host, Sadia, and this is my mother, Ema. Hey, Ema.
Hello. What are you laughing about?
No, I messed up in the words.
I thought you were laughing at me blowing my nose just as we
No,
were
Ema, no
going
one's
on the
laughing
air.
at you.
Okay.
Oh, or if you want them to laugh at you, you can laugh at you. I don't know, whatever. Okay. So this week's topic is going to be, we talked about this.
Oh, families getting together, not the
No,
romantic.
no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. We were
What
talking about
about the?
something else.
Yeah, families getting together for the Yom Tovim.
I
No,
guess we could talk about that, but I
that
was I was
art
talking about
art art projects that
our,
bombed out.
yeah, our projects that got ruined.
Not just got wrong, but I was talking a little while to your wife, and we were she I was telling her that when I was in high school, I went to a music and art camp one summer. And of course, my main thing is not art, it was music. But I was curious as to see whether or not I had any artistic talent. So I went to the art building and they had a pottery wheel. And I tried my hand at the pottery wheel.
How'd that work out?
Uh, it turned out to be, I think, mud or quicksand. I don't know what you were talking. It was like
Just,
totally
just mush.
just this mush about just like it wasn't even it was like all this muddy gook all over the pottery wheel by the time I finished.
Just a bunch of mush. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm trying to think of any botched up. I remember when I was a kid, we had to do a diorama of a sukkah in third grade,
Hmm.
and mine was a sukkah that had four different types of walls and materials, and I made it made it really cool, and then I had like a Ninja Turtle on it, and then I had a few other like action figures that I had from home and some kid was asking like, "Why is there a Ninja Turtle, in your sukkah?" And I'm like,
Why not?
Why not? What's the big deal?" Um, but yeah, I remember that one. I remember also the fun thing I enjoyed uh, with book reports because I hated book reports, but I liked drawing the covers of the book reports,
Hmm.
and that was a lot of fun. Um, I'm trying to think of anything. I mean, I know one time there was a book report I hated it. It was a Berenstain Bears had like a young adult book for a series for a while, and a lot of teachers didn't pick up on this, but they had the summary, like a good summary of the book from start to finish on the inner front page, and I used that as description,
uh,
and I got away with it for a while until one teacher was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, you used the summary for the for the book. Try to read it again and use your own words." And like,
that teacher was very nice that she was she or he
was a she. I
that she
never,
that she that she
I
gave
never
you
had.
that she gave you a second chance on that she could have totally failed you.
What's the
Yeah,
point of failing? Honestly, does it really help?
that's
I
true.
don't know. Does failing a student make them do better?
You know something? I think more and more teachers are coming to that conclusion that failing doesn't do anything, that you're better off trying to work with the student, see what the problem is, trying to fix the problem. I had one teacher in high school who she did not like the regular traditional grading system of the A, B, C, D, the
Yeah.
F, like that. She said a grade doesn't tell you anything. She goes, she would rather see an evaluation where his or her strong points are this, his and her weak points are this. This is what she or he needs to work on. That type of thing better. So like a skill evaluation, which would be better than the regular grading
Yeah.
system.
I mean, honestly, back to a little bit back to book reports. Like, I didn't care for book reports to not make me want to read.
I think book reports are the biggest BS that ever hit the educational system. I mean, I remember doing book reports, and you know something? I remember half the time not even reading the whole book, just reading enough of the book that I could give like of a good synopsis, and that was it. I mean, it does. You're right. It does not encourage you to read. It doesn't encourage any type of enjoyment in reading.
Well, what got me into reading actually was my sixth grade teacher who just suggested to me to read Harry Potter. And
Mhm.
Harry Potter was just written so well that I just couldn't put it down. It's just the problem is that like it, a lot of times these authors write these books. They're not suited for everybody, and not all kids are going to want to read your book, but they're going to be forced to read it and they're not going to like it. They just have to find something they enjoy. But when I got really into Harry Potter and I started watching the movies that came out, I was such a snob about it. It like certain parts of the movie, because it wasn't exactly like the book, it like really irked me.
Yes,
What was there
I know
any
what you're talking
books
about.
to movies that kind of irked you?
All the time. I saw a lot of movies where most of, most of the movies I saw, the book was better, and there were changes that they made in the movie, which I wondered why did they make these changes? They could have used
Like what?
the actual book itself. I'm trying to think. Well, there was one movie I saw though where the movie was definitely better than the book.
Okay, but
It
we're trying to talk about something that's not
okay.
like the book.
Oh, okay. I did this one movie. This one
Fine,
movie
sure. You can
was
talk. You can tell me, then we'll move on.
okay. It was Robert Redford. The movie was
Last
a
Mohicans.
river. No, a river runs through it.
Okay, I think we
About
talked about
and
that.
the book. Yeah, the book was much. The movie was much better than the book. But other books, Exodus. Anybody who read Exodus and saw the movie will tell you that there was a lot. That they
Listeners, if you want to know,
trade.
Exodus was a book written in the 1960s
Yes.
about the birth of the state of Israel.
Oh yeah, it was you. But one thing about the movie though, I mean, anytime people who saw that movie who read the book, that book or that movie made you want to get on the next plane and make Aliyah.
Awesome.
It was very inspiring. I'm trying to think what other books or what other movies I saw that um I felt were really stupid. Cabaret, the way they changed Cabaret was really
What's
stupid.
Cabaret? And what did they change?
Okay, Cabaret from the it was originally a Broadway show. It was about Germany towards the end of the 1930s. It's
Mm,
about this British journalist goes to Germany. Basically, no, actually, no, it wasn't British. In the Broadway show, the journalist in the movie was American, and he goes to Germany to try to cover the changes that have happened since Hitler took power. And he winds up sharing his living quarters with this British lady who is a cabaret entertainer. She's a singer in this a cabaret, like this German nightclub. And show as the show progresses, you see the gradual decline of Germany until finally he leaves at the end. He realizes that the situation in Germany has really gotten bad, that it's totalitarian, it's anti Semitic, it's really, a very degrading situation. And that's when he leaves at that point.
yeah.
But with the way they changed it in the movie. They changed it because obviously they wanted to give Liza Minnelli a big build up. They wanted to like make her that was the movie that made her a star, basically.
Hmm.
So they made it a British journalist and an American cabaret entertainer. In the movie, there's a middle-aged couple where that they're dating, where the man is Jewish, the lady is not, and um, people of the because of the spiva around them, they eventually have to break up. And in the movie, they change it to a young couple, and there's a scene where he's supposed. It turns out he was really Jewish, but he had assimilated and pretended he was not Jewish so that he could get you know, higher up in the German society, you might say. So finally, when it comes to the point where he decides he can't put on the show any longer, and he wants to tell this girl who's Jewish, who thinks he's not, that he really is Jewish, that could have been such an amazing, poignant scene of him sitting and talking to her and telling her the truth. No, instead they do something stupid. He comes, he knocks at the door, the maid answers the door, and this is from a wide camera angle where you're outside the door, not even in the house, and the maid opens the door and he says, I am a Jew, and he walks in. And it's like, huh?
Mm.
What who wrote this movie? My 2-year old could have written that scene better.
Well, actually, I just checked. The movie got, I think, 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it aged very, very well.
Yeah, but
But
that scene was so idiotic. I don't know.
well, what movies didn't age very well that you could say that you saw when you were younger?
Uh, I I saw The Graduate in high school, and then when I was in, I think college, my last year of college was when it finally came to television. And the next day in college, me and all my friends were saying, "What did we ever see in that stupid movie?"
Well, I don't know. I actually saw it when I was in college, and I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. I liked the ending
Uh-huh.
too. The ending was
Well, the
really,
end
really
was
cool.
funny. Yeah, the end was
Not
funny.
funny. It was
That
just,
was good.
it was perfect
Yeah.
because the whole point is at the end of the movie is that they're like riding on that bus, and they're just waiting for the director to say cut, and he just like lets it roll to
Yeah,
get that
he purposely,
awkwardness, to
yeah,
get
he
that
purposely did
stretched
that.
out, so you see them like kind of looking like, what do we do now? And that's kind of what they were trying to like portray. Like this was
Yeah.
kind of freaking stupid. Like what do you do now?
Uh-huh.
You know?
I remember saying that to the gentleman the young guy who took me to that movie that night, my then boyfriend, of which there were many. And so I said to him, I wonder what they did after that. So he says to me, whatever they did, it couldn't have been in California. But I thought the funniest scene though was when he's standing at the top of the church where where the big window is
Hmm.
with the cross,
Oh
and
yeah.
he's banging on the window, yelling to her to stop, stop, and they look up and he's not shaven, he's all dirty, and he's
He looks like
standing there.
Jesus.
I know he's standing with his hands on the
That
cross.
was probably the point. That was probably
I
the
thought it was
point.
pretty funny. And then when everyone's chasing him, what does he do? He grabs a cross out of one of the out of one of the statues or something. He grabs one of the crosses and he starts waving the cross at them. And then he runs to the door and he puts the cross between the handles of the door so that they can't get out. They can't get to. I guess it was a funnier
It,
movie than what
it's
I
a
gave it
well.
credit for.
I think it wasn't supposed to be funny though. It's supposed to be more serious. But like, but for funny, funny is interesting because it's like you could have different things that are funny, and you'll always find funny, no
Mhm.
matter what. Like I don't know. For me, well, the one thing that I would always find funny, no matter what, um, I think morbid, violent humor is for me is just hilarious. Just I just find it really
Your
funny.
father, um, your father had a morbid sense of humor. He would.
What? Go ahead,
There
say
was
it.
this is horrible.
Great.
This
This is
one time,
perfect.
one of your sisters, when she was real little, she was like 2 or 3 years old, and she was walking around and she was going, "Mom, Ema, 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 Ema," and your father, with his morbid sense of humor, goes, "Your mother's dead."
Oh God.
I'm sitting right there next to him.
Oh, oh,
Then there
jeez.
was the bird story.
What?
Did we ever talk about the bird story?
There are many
Uh,
bird stories.
No, this is the one with
Just say it.
the
Just say it.
gray
Just say it.
cockatiel. Okay, here's what happened. There was this uh, Israeli lady who she was somebody's sister in the neighborhood, and she had a pet cockatiel, and she was getting ready to move back to Israel. So her, it didn't make sense for her to rent any place. So for the little while that she needed to stay in the States before she made her arrangements to go back to Israel, she was staying by her sister. Well, her sister's husband was allergic to the cockatiel. The cockatiel was this gray cockatiel. So she asked me if I would keep the cockatiel in my house. I said, yes, sure. So we had this gray cockatiel in our house. Well, it was one winter morning when it was snowing and school was called. And so I was laying in my bed. Everyone's, we're all sleeping late. And all of a sudden I hear your sister Khani yelling, Ema, Ema, make her stop. Ema, I can't breathe. Ema, make her stop. Now, your sister Khani has a lot of allergies.
Yeah.
And so then I hear Khani go, I can't, going like this, she was having trouble breathing. So I dash out of the bed. I run into the room. Your sister Frume at that time was like barely 2 years, about 2 years old.
Yeah.
And she had taken this old pillow that we had gotten from your father's bubby,
Yeah.
and it was these old pillows. It was a down pillow, and it had these little tiny gray goose down feathers, like
Mm.
baby goose feathers. And she had ripped open this pillow, and she was throwing all these little gray feathers at your sister Khani, and poor Khani was about to have an asthma attack from them. I grabbed the vacuum cleaner
Hmm.
and I start to try with the nozzle to get them up. and somehow they all get stuck in the vacuum cleaner, and the vacuum cleaner goes, when something gets stuck in the vacuum cleaner, you hear that
Yeah,
ding, that
yeah, yeah.
whizzing sound, and that's what happened. So I turned off the vacuum cleaner, and the um I just grabbed the bedding where all these little feathers were, and I realized, well, I've got to get this out of the house
Hmm.
and away from Connie before she has a full blown asthma attack. So I just put the blanket all together. I ran. Here I'm, in my nightgown, no slippers. I run out in the snow and I just throw all these feathers out.
Yeah.
Now, unbeknownst to me, your father had gone to 7 Mile Market that morning and had run into this lady who owned the cockatiel, and she asked your father, "How's my cockatiel?" So your father, with his sadistic sense of humor, says, "Ah," he says, "I think I'm going to kill that bird." So later on that day, she wanted to, see her bird. I'm in the kitchen working, and I hear the kids were outside playing, so the front door was, was unlocked. So she comes and she knocks, and I hear her say in a shaky voice, "Zalka, how's my bird?" I go, "Oh, he's fine. See, he's right over here." She goes, "Ah!" And she collapses on the couch like she's like her heart is pounding. I said, "What's the matter?" She says what happened was she tells me about the encounter that she had with your father that morning. And then when she came to the house to visit her bird, she saw all these little gray feathers out on the lawn.
Oh God, that's awesome. So for you, what do you find funny? You still find funny that you found funny when you were a kid?
Good question. Good question. Finding good. Gosh, I gotta think about that one. Funny, one thing funny.
Meanwhile, a voice from our sponsors. Try
Oh
Lucky Strikes
gosh.
today.
Well, the funny thing, I love Lucy. The
Yeah.
I Love Lucy shows.
Yeah.
Um, your wife and I were just talking about some of the I Love Lucy shows that we found that were really funny. Like she mentioned about the when Lucy wanted to do a sculpture
Yeah.
to show she had talent, and instead she asked Ethel to get like into this thing where her head was sticking out, and she put all this clay around her head to make it look like that she had sculpted. She was a sculpture. That
So
was pretty
so so what
funny.
so what did you find funny? What kind of humor did you find funny when you were a kid that you still find funny today?
I'm trying to think about that. Ooh. Mm. Mm. Actually, the irony is that there were many things as a kid that I was just watching for entertainment that I didn't think was real funny. And now looking back, now I see the humor in it. And now I find it funny. Like Marx Brothers. Yeah. I remember, I think, watching the Marx Brothers. What was the one that takes place in a store, in a like in one of these downtown department stores?
Okay.
Who's watching? I forgot what the name of that movie was.
His department store?
I don't know, but all I remember that scene at the end where they're all running around, they're being chased, and they're all running around this department store. And I remember as a kid sitting in front of the television laughing so hard that tears were coming out of my eyes. I found the Marx Brothers movies are just as funny.
But what kind of humor though?
Um, I said Marx Brothers, Bob Hope.
Bob, okay.
Bob Hope I always found very funny even as a kid. I look sometimes when I look at videos of him now, I still find it funny. What about you?
No, I just said. I as a younger I thought very, violent, disturbing humor. I still find it hilarious.
Is that a
Like
guy thing
I
though?
don't know, maybe it's a guy thing. I was
I
like
think it's a guy thing. Uh
Watching
huh.
Family Guy and having like Peter fall down the steps and like it's like violent where it's not like cartoons where it's like he hurts himself and you see little bruises. No, like this you see like bones and blood everywhere. Like it's really graphic and I just think it's so funny. I think it's so funny, especially when they're screaming in pain. Like I just can't help but laugh. Um,
Rocky and Bullwinkle, the Fractured Fairy Tales.
oh yeah, that was good.
They were funny. They're still funny today, even as an adult. I can appreciate them.
Okay. Um, I have a few more questions. Um, oh yeah.
Do we have time for this? The family holiday get-togethers.
Oh yeah. You want to do family holiday get-togethers? Okay,
Yeah, that's.
we could do that for a quick minute, then we'll call it a day.
Well, your brother was the one that brought up the topic. He said, let's face it, he says, the romanticized, how do you say it, the romanticized 1950s family, where
Believe
we're
It's a
all,
Beaver.
yeah, all one big happy, and parents are handling their children's problems, so calmly and not raising their voice. Uh, Not quite. I mean, remember I mentioned to you, you pick up, right around holiday times, you pick up newspapers, or you get on the, what do you see? You see
People kill
where,
their families.
where somebody takes an AK-47 and
Like
blasts somebody
it's
at the, at
wrong.
the, at the Christmas table, at the Easter table or something.
It's like it's wrong, but I understand it. I understand it. Yeah.
Well, I remember, one woman, it was getting towards the end of Pesach, and this one friend of mine said to me, I love my family dearly. But by the end of Yontif, I felt like I could have taken a gun and just shot them all.
100%. For sure. For sure.
Maybe we can discuss this another time when we have more time on the next
Yeah.
podcast.
Sure. What we got next time. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Hopefully, see you soon.
Everybody have a end of Verige and of Pesach and Chag Sameach.
All right. Love you. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook at Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I know you would like it, and my mother would too.